Alright guys, got another video. And today we're going to be talking about the institution of the church and the black community. And the reason why I am addressing this topic is because I think that a lot of people get what's happening in the churches in the black community. They kind of get it twisted. And I just want to take time to address this because a lot of people are bashing the church and are talking bad about the church. And I want to let you guys know that the church, okay, the churches, even the churches in the black community, have done way more than any of these other black organizations. And that's any other black organization combined. Now, first of all, I'm just going to go ahead and put this disclaimer out here, all right? Now, I want to say that the church can do a heck of a lot more than what it's currently doing in the black community, okay? And all over the United States for the body of Christ. But we're just talking about the black community, okay? We're not talking about anybody else. I don't want to see any messages. Oh, well, it ain't just the church and the black community. I'm not mentioning them. We're not even talking about that right now. That's irrelevant. Because I want to try to get into a specific discussion. So anyway, with that being said, the church can do a lot more, okay? Because we see how much money comes through the church, and sometimes I think that people kind of fudge the numbers or something. They talk about $14 billion. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. Okay, I can't say whether that much money goes through the church a year or not, but we all know, and we're all not dumb, we're all not blind, and there's a lot of money that goes through the hands of these churches every year. Every Sunday, every given Sunday for that fact. So yes, the church can do a lot more. But even with the little bit that the church is doing in the black community, they still do way more than the conscious community, the black Hebrew Israelites, these African spirituality type people, all of this stuff, black atheists, all of that. The church does a heck of a lot more for the black community than all of those institutions combined. And the reason why I'm addressing this is because I get a lot of these messages, and I've also done, the past few discussions I've done on my channel live have been from people who want to bash the church, say that we need to get out of the church because, slavery and bondage and all of that stuff, and, you still got the shackles on your mind and all of that stuff. But like I said in another video, where were the Africans? Where were the black conscious people? Where were the Muslims? Where were the Hebrews? Where were all of these people when black people were going through slavery? Where were you? And where these people that you honor, that you hold to a pedestal, where were they when black people were going through the civil rights movement? You see what I'm saying? People don't want to talk about that. And it was always the church. It was always people who held to Christian beliefs that went out and fought for the freedom of black slaves. They fought for the justice and equality and all of that stuff during the civil rights movement. And we're not going to get into, whose theology was what, because there are some things that I disagree with theologically when it came to people like Martin Luther King. But he was still a pivotal figure in the civil rights movement, and he put his life on the line for that, and he did it because of the help of the church. Okay, it was the church that has always been the forefront or the forerunner when it comes to the black community and when it comes to the equality and the treatment of blacks here in America, whether there was slavery, civil rights, or whatever. Now, the reason why the church has been failing is because the church has looked outside of its doors and has looked outside of the Bible, and they have tried to become relevant. All right? So when they look at what the world is doing, they try to emulate that. And the biggest problem that has gripped the church is business. Like I said in a few of my videos, the church nowadays is big business, okay? And that is what the problem is. You got people that is trying to find a way to exploit blacks and trying to get money up out of them. So you look at these big business owners, and they have the money to put up for these churches, and they're just like, the more people that we get into these churches, the more money we can bring in, whatever. So that's why I say that the churches can do a lot better if they go away from the model of trying to be a business and trying to bring in money and all of that stuff. And this is where the church has been failing the black community, because they, instead of them focusing on the gospel, they should be focusing on redistributing that money to bring souls to Christ. But as I reiterate, okay, even with that, the church has still done a heck of a lot more than any other these black institutions. And put the numbers up. Do your research. Because I get tired of getting these messages from a lot of people, and some of you who are probably watching, talking about, oh, we need to leave the church, and we need to go back to our African spirituality and all of this stuff here. But it was those same Africans with that same spirituality that put other Africans into slavery, that sold other Africans, like our ancestors, into slavery to the Europeans. So that's what it was. It is what it is. Do your research. That's why Ghana is apologizing for its part in slavery. You can research that. Okay? So that's why I don't follow all of this African spirituality type garbage, because the Africans wasn't there when it came to freeing slaves. They had a huge hand and a huge part into the transatlantic slave trade. The conscious community has not done anything for the black community. They talk about the church, they bash the church. What do? They turn around and try to sell you DVDs, tell you to donate to them and all of that. That money doesn't get redistributed back into the black neighborhood. So, I mean, you can look at a lot of these guys who are in the conscious community, man, and that they're not doing anything. Where are the massive food drives? Where are them bringing black people out of poverty? They're not doing anything. They bash the black church, and they bash the church in general, but they're not doing anything. The Hebrew Israelites, they get out there and they yell and talk about the white man. They're trying to give you hope that one day the white man is going to fall and they're going to take over. These guys have had, failed prophecy after failed prophecy after failed prophecy. They said that Christ was going to come back in the year 2000, and the white man was going to be up under the feet of the black man, and white people were going into bondage and slavery, and it didn't happen. And that's all that they're doing. And I'm seeing a lot of people run into all of this stuff. They run into all of this junk and this mess, not realizing that the reason why the black community still exists is because you have churches that actually go out and talk to officials. They're out talking to the politicians who have control over these areas to try to make sure that there are some plans and make sure that some of that money that the government is getting is being redistributed back into the black community. There's a lot of stuff that y'all don't talk about. Now, like I said, a lot more can be done, but the little bit that is being done is way more than any of these other black organizations. And that's just hands down bottom line. Just like when Donald Trump was talking to those pastors, when those pastors went to go meet with Donald Trump. People may not like Donald Trump. They may hate Donald Trump. They may have their own opinions about him. But at the same time, and then people wanted to bash the pastors to go and talk to the president of the United States. But at least he was willing to sit down and say, hey, listen, let's try to figure out what's going on in the black neighborhoods. And who was there? The church. The church said, hey, listen, let's go and let's talk to him. Let's see what he got to say. Let's bring up our issues and let's say, hey, listen, this is what we would like to see done. So therefore, you can go ahead and pull his card and say, hey, this is what you said. Let's see if you're gonna stick to that. So therefore, when it's election time, we can go ahead and pull his card up and say, hey, you said you was gonna do this. You didn't follow through. So therefore, we need to vote somewhere else. You see what I'm saying? Or even if he does follow through, then we can say, okay, this man followed through. So therefore, let's go ahead and see what else he's going to follow through on. But there weren't no conscious people. All of the conscious people, oh, wow, I wouldn't go talk to no president. I ain't talking to no Trump. But the black community is still in shambles. And it's the church, and it's the blacks in the church that went to go talk to him about prison reform. It wasn't no people walking around there with unks on. It wasn't no black Hebrew Israelites. It wasn't no African spiritual people walking around. So that's enough of bashing the church, because you guys ain't did jack, and you're not doing anything for the black community. So you want to bash the church, who's doing way more, who's having food drives, who's talking to, city officials to try to make sure that the black community doesn't end up ultimately destroying itself. You're not even doing that. And a lot of you guys are contributing to a lot of the mess and junk that's going on in these streets. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to go ahead and make this video addressing that topic, because I get tired of hearing people telling me that I need to leave the church and all of this stuff, and I'm stuck in bondage and all of that. But when your institutions ain't doing anything to show me that what is better than what the church is doing for the black community. It's the reason why that you're able to do what you're able to do, because of the church. And again, I'm going to reiterate again, there's a lot that can be done, a lot more that can be done from the church. But that's something for us as a church to discuss. That's not up to you guys who's not doing anything to discuss. So anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And as always, guys, like what you seen, like what you heard, like, rate, share, comment, subscribe, and you guys have a blessed day.